a more violent episode. I can call it that. Here we are back at the convention in Chicago. I thought everything was under control. DNC attendee smacks a woman in the hijab with a "We Love Joe" sign. Why would you do that? Why did you do that? Watch this.
His hand. The woman we had to meet. Was I told you that?
I don't know why you felt the need to do that and act out in a violent way. Look, you use the sign, you do the time. That's how I feel about it. Why would you do this?
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
I'll tell you more. From Mediate, a woman in a hijab was attacked with a "We Love Joe" sign at the Democratic National Convention on Monday after she unfurled a protest banner during President Joe Biden's speech. I mean, didn't Joe Biden during his speech reference, we need to hear these people? I don't know if he's done a great job at listening in the past, but these are your fellow Americans and we need to listen. I thought that's what he said. And what do? You take your big sign and you pop somebody on the head like that whack-a-mole game. It's not whack-a-mole. These are your neighbors. These are your fellow Americans. This is during President Joe Biden's speech after a group of protesting attendees unfurled a "Stop Arming Israel" banner during Biden's speech. A man behind the group was caught on video repeatedly hitting the woman in the head with the pro-Biden sign on a stick. So they're unfurling this. They didn't lie in these banners. Okay, we want peace. We want the killing, the violence to stop. And your response in a room full of otherwise, I told you it was orgasmic, full of love. I'm getting the reports from people who were there. And you unfurl the sign. Well, they unfurl the sign and you hit somebody in the head. Our Washington Post reporter Dylan Wells on X. Democratic delegates also attempted to block the banner with their "We Love Joe" sticks. I guess that's fair game, whatever. Before the DNC turned off the lights above the protesters and ejected them from the convention. Were they that disruptive, or was the popping on the head the disruptive part? What do you think, Jackson, before I go into the rest?
Well, I think that he definitely deserves Donkey of the Day, you know what I'm saying, or whatever type of award that you want to give him for that. It's good that we caught him on camera.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a situation where you just kind of need to grow up. And at the end of the day, it's not like they were in there really causing a lot of issues. You watched the DNC, I watched it. People didn't storm the crowd. People didn't storm the audience. In fact, if that person didn't hit them on the head with the "We Love Joe" sign, then nobody probably would have even known that he was in there. And also, nobody else really seemed to have an issue with it because, as you pointed out before, the reason people are protesting is because they want something to be done. And they know that the Trump administration absolutely is not going to protect Palestinian lives whatsoever. The only hope for that is, a Kamala administration between her and Donald Trump. That's why they're there. They want to see positive change. But yeah, I think he's definitely a jackass for doing what he did.
And you're right. In the newsroom, occasionally, even though they say anchors don't do any work, it's not true. We do some work, long dinner break, but we do some. And I can remember on occasions I would, the desk, they're overwhelmed. These calls are coming in. Their viewers, maybe they're upset about some of our coverage. And I would take some of them. I'd field some of the calls. And occasionally people would say, "I don't like what you did. I don't like this story. I don't like that Sharon Reed girl." And I'd say, "Sometimes I don't like her either. What'd she do, ma'am?" You know how easy it is to disarm people? And then at the end, I'd say, "You know what? I'm Sharon Reed and I learned from you." Okay? Whether I did or didn't. It's easy to disarm them. You just say, "Joe said he hears you." They weren't doing anything, but there's more. Another man in the same section as the attendee who hit the woman on the head was also caught on video trying to forcefully rip the protest banner away. Nobody told you to do this.
Impossibility. Fair. Impossibility. We're in the grip of a once-in-a-century pandemic. Historic joblessness. Calls for
Okay, so we told you a few moments ago that the people who said stop arming Israel, okay, and were involved in the kerfuffle, rejected, got them out of there. Hmm. So this incident sparked outrage on social media, including calls for the man who hit the woman to be charged. Who is the guy who hit the Muslim woman holding the banner in the head with a sign? Question one social media user. He needs to be identified and she needs to press charges. Mediaite with the details. Per reports from Monday, at least 4 people were arrested outside the Democratic National Convention, DNC, in Chicago on Monday after a security fence was breached during a pro-Palestinian protest. According to ABC7 Chicago, police made the arrest after a fence along the north side of the convention center was breached. Police reportedly formed a barricade to stop protesters from gaining access to the convention center. More than 200 organizations, including Black Lives Matter Chicago, the Arab American Action Network, and the Democratic Socialists of America, took part in the protest at the DNC on Monday, demanding a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and an end to U.S. military aid for Israel. Coalition to March on the DNC spokesperson, Hijab Abdullah, said, quote, Joe Biden can turn off that tap of funding immediately. He could have done it back in October. The fact that he didn't, it means he supports this genocide, that he has the blood of 40,000 Palestinians on his hands, and that he and Kamala Harris and Anthony Blinken and Jeffries, Hakeem Jeffries, and Schumer, and Pelosi, and Schakowsky, and Durbin, and all the top Democrats are complicit. Coalition to March on the DNC spokesperson, Hijab Abdullah. America is built on, allegedly, these freedoms. Freedom to speak out, freedom to say how you feel, freedom to worship who you choose to or no one at all. I understand the need to get messaging out and to protect your convention and how you want to be perceived with an election that's what, 74? Is it 74 days away? Let's say 70 something. But and you shouldn't have to do this, Jackson, put yourself in the shoes, okay? I happen to think what's going on is crazy. And yes, we are giving aid to Israel in the form of the weapons. So you can't have it both ways. But what I think is the Black Lives Matter, a Black person, a Black mom, a Black child that I'm raising, I want to be respected when I point out some god-awful truths as I see it. Is there enough respect being given, Jackson?
Well, I think realistically, this guy singled himself out with this incident. Because I didn't see anybody who spoke on stage say anything about the protest whatsoever. If this guy didn't do that, if he didn't hit the woman on the head with the sign, if he didn't yank, away the banner from the person who they were peacefully protesting. They weren't screaming. They weren't doing none of that. They just held the sign up. But that was too much
Yeah.
for him.
Mhm.
So whoever he is, he's definitely not helpful. And I think he just made an ass of himself.
Good way to button that. Good way to button that segment. Made an ass of yourself.